Hello and welcome to World Insight with Tian Wei, coming to you from Dalian at the site of the 2017 Summer Davos. Some of you may know the theme for this year's conference is Achieving Inclusive Growth in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Well, what does it mean? It sounds abstract. In fact, there are two things about the theme. One is whether technology is going to better our society, and the other is whether we together are smart enough to be able to design our objectives for the future and shape technology so that they could help us to achieve those goals.
The 11th annual meeting of the New Champions, known as Summer Davos, began yesterday in Dalian. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang addressed the opening ceremony, stressing the link between globalization and inclusive growth. He also stressed the importance of technological innovation at the meeting. Due to technological advancements brought about by the internet, digitization, and artificial intelligence, revolutionary strides have been made in various industries. However, technology is a double-edged sword, with an increasing number of people beginning to worry about job security. For example, unmanned driving may make human drivers obsolete. Elsewhere, the AlphaGo computer forced people to doubt the superiority of the human brain when it beat South Korea and China's top Go masters. In addition, there is a disparity between people's perception and the advancement of technology. Some people cannot even grasp the development of technology. So what is technology? It is a new idea, a new concept, or the crystallization of human creativity. Regardless, it is also a philosophical subject that people endeavor to find progress.
Well, if you still consider them philosophical, then we're going to meet three people. They're going to help us to nail down the answers to all of these challenging questions. They are, of course, the rising voices both in us and in actions in our world today. They're going to provide us with down-to-earth argument and fresh personal stories.
Feike Sijbesma, Chairman and CEO of Royal DSM, leads the company that transformed from a chemical company into a life sciences and materials sciences company. They focus on health, nutrition, and material. Don Roosegaard, a Dutch artist and innovator, designed the smog-free tower and smog-free ring. Dr. Ling Fan, founder and CEO of Tizine.com, a leading internet platform in China that bridges creative talents with large enterprises and global organizations.
It's the largest smog vacuum cleaner in the world. It sucks up polluted air, cleans it on the nano level, and then releases the clean air. So we have parks which are 40 to 70% more clean than the rest of the city.
But is it about the message, or is it really going to function in a way that's going to help China clean up the smog?
It's about the dream of clean air, that's one. So it's about creating awareness, engaging community to say, hey, what do we need to do to make a whole city smog-free? But two, it is proven a local solution on a park scale. So you need both. You need a government top-down making investments in clean energy, electrical cars, etc., and innovations. But you also need bottom-up approaches which sort of tickle society to speed up.
Talking about a solution, I want to go to Feike because the company that you're working for, which is also happened to be a Dutch company, actually started as a coal mining company, but now turned itself after decades into a pharmaceutical company, emphasizing on innovation. Maybe just wonder, you know, China is going through this learning curve.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that done?
Well, we started 115 years ago as a coal mining company, and then we changed it to a bulk chemical company, and then we changed again to a science-based company, which we are today. Technology, innovation, in nutrition, food ingredients, we're the biggest in that one in the world, and also in high-performance materials. And what do you need? You need to have a vision on where you want to go to. You need guts, because you need to get rid of where you were good at in the past and to follow your vision to do something new and develop new competences, because we were good in coal mining, so operational excellence, doing the same every day, and now we are good in innovation, developing new things. So we need a new competences in the company.
Right, but the mentality, as we all know, is not easy to change.
True. So it was sometimes a big fight. Some people left the company because they didn't wanted to adapt. But many people, including myself, needed to reinvent them. The whole top of the organization in the past was good in something we didn't need it so much anymore.
Yeah.
So some people could leave the company, but most people needed to change and to reinvent themselves as we were reinventing the
But
company.
you know, when you talk about this vision and technology for good, innovation for good, maybe at your level, you would think about that a lot. But many at the grassroots, they don't need to. And how would you convey these messages to the people up there who have been working with you for decades and now need them to change with you?
Well, we need the brains of everybody in our company, but even more. We have a slogan in our company, bright science, brighter living. And we said recently, we are not the only one with bright minds. So we invited the whole world to contribute to our solar ideas, how we can improve solar. And there were 88 million people around the world who responded to our Bright Mind Challenge on solar. So involving, stimulating many minds around the world, not only for our company, 88 people.
Well, what are some of the answers they give to you?
They came with new
Interesting
ideas
ones.
how to improve solar. They
Give me
said
some
solar
examples.
is old. That is the connection, how you get lithium, which is important for the storage on the batteries. But they had also new ideas on the coatings of solars, not to give the light back, but also new ideas how the electrical transmission is, that there is no loss of energy in the solar panel. And by this we can improve tremendously the output of solar panels by using the expertise of our company, 26,000 people, nice. But also the 88 million people around the world who wanted to contribute.
But that's beautiful. Good ideas activate people. And I think you just gave a really good example.
FICO already very proud of 88 million people. But Ling, think about us. We got 1.3 billion out there.
What do you mean us? It's all planet Earth, by the way. It's all planet Earth.
If we throw out an idea, like the Chinese participate, but what about that? Technology for good. Do you think the country has reached to this barometer to think about these relatively, I think, philosophical questions? Or are we still in the mode of let's quickly get there, earn more money, and really get rich? Where are we now?
Well, I think it's really relevant to talk about that right now. We're really at the phase that turning from more quantity-driven economy to quality-driven economy. And I think the mindset is somehow ready to think not just about efficiency, but also about equality, about community,
Fairness.
about the fairness, etc., the trust. And I think currently the technology develop also in that trend as well. Yeah. So technology is no longer in a way that's separated from the society. It's actually part of the society. It's
Give me some
shaping
examples. It sounds quite abstract.
No, it's a second language.
Let's say, if you look at this forum, we have a number of panels on artificial intelligence and blockchain, right? The blockchain is really helping us to rethink how to rebuild the trust economy. And the sharing economy as the first phase is to start to building the trust. The trust that we somehow lost in the process of economic development, in the process of urbanization, in the process of industrialization. But now somehow this another layer of infrastructure, another layer of technological facilitated infrastructure help us to rethink humanity. The more technology we have, the more human.
We should become.
And I think that is really fascinating of the China of today. And I think for me personally, it's about redefining the notion of beauty. So beauty is not about an expensive bag or a watch or an expensive car. It's about clean energy, clean air, clean water. And how can we make places which are good for people? And that is the challenge in the transition
the very basic
we are in
to
right
the
now.
nature and from the nature.
Yeah, find a new sense of harmony. And I don't say plant trees and we go back to nature. No. We go forward and we learn from nature and we build it.
I will add one more thing here.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So we always think about nature as something green, like something that grows from the earth.
Yeah.
Actually, nature, another thing, is about human nature, right? So before, probably 3, 4, 5 years ago, when we go out, we start out, private cars. That the sort of very polluted way of transportation. But now, when we open an app, we realize we can have a sharing biking, sharing car.
Before you jump in, I want to go a little bit further on that, Ling, because you talk about sharing economy, even on bicycles. That's really out there for people to use. But the thing is, sometimes it becomes a fad. Sometimes it becomes a fake movement. And other times, it is lack of management and lack of well planning that would contribute to the challenges of the city rather than really solve some of the most important challenges, for example, about traffic, for example, the use of pedestrians. So, Ling, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about fad, or are we talking about a genuine realization of technology for good?
I think there are two aspects of this question.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, one aspect is that we do believe technology can solve certain problem. By solving that problem, it creates new problem. And it's really a process, keep evolving. We like a metaphor that Dan probably will use is like a ping pong, right? So it's not like a bowling, it's not like one shot, it's actually back and forth. Second aspect of this is actually what's, I think, somewhat missing in China is that we do have a top-down sort of a policy to actually promote innovation and technology advancement for a long time. Also, we do have a layer that's very entrepreneurial, very down to the earth, sort of doing innovation, but we do missing somewhat in the middle, some critical thinking, some civil society that to rethink the influence of technology to the humanity.
You can look from two angles to the world. You can say we have big problems on climate change, on energy, on waste, on food shortages. The world has many, many problems and many concerns. If you listen to those people and also just look what our company and other companies are doing, is great optimism, solutions, new technologies, which makes it possible, in our case, clean cow, to make it possible that the cows are not emission
But
methane.
There is concern whether it is PR or it is real
he's
change
running a
of
gigantic
business
company on
model
it.
that we are talking about here. There is concern about that.
There are big concerns in the world. I'm really concerned about the world change, about hunger, about inequality, all those things. But is it also that I'm optimistic? I'm very optimistic because there's new technologies, there are new business models, there's a sharing economy.
Right.
We are converting waste in the United States, agriculture waste, we throw away, we now make it green energy. We prevent that cows are emitting methane. We have a new carpet which is 100% recyclable. New technologies, new business models, new ideas. And you know what? The most positive I found? Looking to the United States, looking to the Brexit, that the young generation did not voted for the Brexit, did not voted for a negative United States. So the young people want those positive innovations to change the world.
And they love those smog-turned necklace and little rings.
It's part of it.
But
I
produced
agree.
by Don and your interesting business model. Why people are enthusiastic wearing those little things?
It's fascinating. I think I have one here. So this is a smog-free ring to celebrate clean air.
Absolutely beautiful.
And
Look
I think
at that.
what Feike is saying is very true. There's not a lack of money or there's not a lack of technology. There's a lack of imagination. And new ideas activate new thinking, new business. So this is not a decoration, it's a reformation.
How did you come up with this idea? I'll turn it back to you.
I don't know. I think, we were collecting the waste. We had buckets of this stuff standing in our studio. It was incredibly disgusting material. And we were like, we should do something with that.
Right.
Waste should not exist. Waste for the one is food for the other. And when you look at nature, they don't understand waste. Or when you look at an anthill underneath the ground, they don't have a traffic jam. How do they do that? Or when you look at an owl, like the bird, when it flies, it doesn't make a sound. How do they do that? Why do we have cities which pollute us? Why do we have airplanes which still make noise? What can we learn from that? So no, it's not a one-off. It's a new way of thinking and
Do,
doing.
do people tell you why they're interested in wearing this ring?
Because
Why
they
they're wearing
realize,
this
because they
necklace?
realize it's a symbol, it's an activator for the new world. And these people, my generation, millennial, they don't look back. They look forward. They have no back view mirror.
It is certainly our generation, Ling,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
We have wedding couples purchasing it as a sign of hope, as a sign of beauty.
That's beautiful. But,
It's
but
amazing.
people would say, Ling, why don't the Chinese think about these ideas themselves?
With the more understanding about technology in the current context, is really about preserving diversity. And we are in a world that's more and more difficult to understand. The reason why we become so aware of those issues, the issues in the United States, the issues in Britain, is actually because of the technology actually offers a channel that people to understand that kind of diversity. On one hand, we never thought, this group of people never thought that part actually exists.
Right.
Yeah.
But now we realize there's a diversity of human natures that actually chose the other way.
You try to, Ling, bridge the diversity about technology and also the diversity about the designs and also preserving the real different kinds of culture. Tell me how you are doing that in the current China.
Well, I think that if we look back into the past 5-10 years about the technology advancement, it's mostly about consumer technology. So the consumer needs is really fulfilled exponentially. While on the supply side, it's still quite linear in a way.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're saying about the second half of the internet is actually about supply side reform. I think that in this way, the supply side also needs to be personalized. That's a challenge. Customized. And somehow before we just need to tell the customer what to buy. Now we have to move them. We have to tell their story. So go back to Dan's example. I think also maybe big companies also have that kind of challenge. It's why people want to wear a ring that is actually made out of dust. It's actually because that story moved the consumer.
Yeah.
And the consumer not just want to buy a product, a commodity. They want to buy the value as well.
Purpose.
The
So in a
purpose.
way that encouraged the business world to go with
Oh,
what
absolutely.
technology for
Exactly.
good.
So go a little bit further about what I'm sort of trying to propose is that if the demand side is already very personalized, very diverse, therefore the supply side also need to break that traditional consulting model or one that serves million model. It also needs to have this kind of platform version. And therefore, diversity can solve complex problems. So that's sort of my value proposition.
Because we're- go
Therefore, you
ahead.
need to have the business world to be
Absolutely.
included in solving the big problems of the world.
Sure.
Governments together with business. And why? Because it's unnatural for business to think down and to let your business go down. It is normal for business to think in opportunities and how can you build, etc. So the business will look to opportunities, how to improve the world, how to invent a new ring, how to invent a new sharing economy, how to invent a new business model. That is the nature of business in order to survive. And the business knows, Darwin, you should adapt, otherwise you die.
Yeah.
So the
As
business
simple as that.
every time need to adapt to a changing world with new ideas.
When you think about technology for good, this is an idea everybody would love to agree.
True.
And yet, when it comes to implementation, particularly the pains of implementation, that's very Ling, I would ask you about that because when you think about technologies, governments are slow to catch up with technology.
True.
Regulations also slow.
Yeah.
And people would wonder whether business would take the liberty of this vacuum right now, legislative or other ways, in order to make a profit
That's a good question.
without paying much attention to this ultimate goal, as we say, technology for good.
Yeah, good question.
I think China is slightly different. Well, at least from my understanding, it's slightly different. This generation of entrepreneurs, a lot of them really have a vision that for a better society, and that's somehow why we come to this forum to actually look at the situation from a little distance. So it's not about daily business, it's not about surviving for the next 3 or 6 months. It's actually to think how the business, how the private sector can collide multi-stakeholders that to make the world better. And by making the world better, actually make your business more sustainable.
You have to be this hippie with a business plan.
That's right. I love that.
New dreams, new ideas, and at the same time make it happen. And I
Do
think
you have to be hippies with your business
I think
plan?
he's a good example of
Like,
that, yeah.
with that Fortune 500 company, do you have to be hippies?
Well, you need to be different than some of the others, per definition in business, if you want to be successful. But also, I'm going a little bit against the stream of short-termism, of making money on the short term, etc., and stick out my neck to do something different with the company. And we need to realize that society has been changing. We don't have kingdoms anymore. Yeah, we still have a king in our country, but he's not the real boss of the country. We don't have emperors anymore. So we don't have people who can all arrange it themselves. Life is becoming more complicated. Business cannot only do it alone. They cannot make laws, and rightly so. So it needs to be a collaboration. And people need to understand our society has been more blurred in responsibilities and more changed. And we need to act like that.
But people would ask, would that from a Dutch company, because you have already well developed into the developed economy, and therefore you could think from where you started. But for the others economy, for example, developing economies, emerging economies, is that going to be the same story?
look at Alibaba, Tencent. I mean, these are beautiful, great companies. The WeChat. WeChat is not a copycat of Twitter and Facebook. It's actually way better than anything I've seen. So no, I don't think it's the copy-paste, it's the copy-morph we are in. I'm learning from China. I'm learning of to do business, to communicate, to think ahead. So this is the country where the new energy is.
But there is one concern we should not forget. And it is, especially in the western part of the world, in Europe, in the United States, 30% of the population feel those new technologies, these new innovations, the globalization is not for them. They feel, whether it's true or not, they feel being left behind. And if we cannot communicate, the three of us, many others, if we cannot communicate more inclusive, if we cannot give the feeling to them that all these new developments are good for all of us, then it won't work. And this is a task which I see for myself, and those three gentlemen the same.
You used one word, Feike, which is feeling.
Correct.
It could be artificial feeling, but it could be for real as well. So how are you going to convey those feelings to the people that you have just mentioned? People in the other side of the world have to really understand it themselves. This is not trying to be conveyed, but rather gradually understand.
Now you use an important word.
Oh, okay, what is it?
To be conveyed. I think we need to communicate, we need etc. to do, and to make clear that all those new good things are good for all. But your good point is we cannot just communicate and to tell and to convey them. We need to involve. And you need to invite people and come with new ideas. And therefore this entrepreneurship happened. Bottom up, by people with ideas, people who feel, I mean, let's be honest, we try to invite other people, but they feel invited by society to come with their innovations, and therefore they do. And you feel invited as well.
Absolutely, and you know, there will always be people telling me, it cannot be done, and I think we all consider it our job to prove them wrong.
Before we go, why don't we help us and our audience all over the world to understand what are the real things that is driving technology for good? What can be done? Feike, I want to start with you.
Hope and possibilities. And with hope and possibilities, we can address all issues in the world.
Really?
I'm convinced about that. Mankind will not let the world going down. It won't happen. There are big threats on climate, on hunger, on whatever. We will solve it. With a lot of hope, with vision, and we're finding the possibilities. We will.
You know, that is a big word, hope, that you just used, but we hope it will be the hope that you were
and we're
talking
talking
about.
to the COO of a big company who's saying that. So this is not hippie anymore. This is the new economy.
But
this is new economy.
But you know, Don, I go to you for the hippie answer.
Thank you.
What about that?
Our world is changing. Technology is taking over. Jobs will disappear. The one thing that will separate us from the machines who will make our life more useful is creativity. So creativity is our true capital, our desire for beauty, our desire for interaction, our desire for empathy with ourselves, with the world around us. And that will be the driving force. So money, technology won't be the activator anymore, but the desire to create, the desire to make. And when you were a boy or a girl, you build a tree hut, and when we grow up, okay, we mature, but something stays the same. So we want to upgrade reality, and that's innovation, and that's the new world, whether we like it or not.
That is for the good. That we
Well, there's no way
about.
back. The alternative is die. The alternative is we drown in rising sea level, we pollute ourselves to lung cancer when we're 6 years old.
Won't happen.
We go to Mars? No way. We don't have the space. So I mean, I'm not being optimistic. There's no way back. We've created this situation, so we better start fixing it. And we do that by making new things. I can't make it any more simple than that.
Hope can do spirit with
Creativity.
creativity. And Ling, before we go.
Oh my, we made it difficult for you.
Well, I think
You guys grab all the adjectives and the most powerful words. Ling, for
exactly. So
But you're a Chinese expert, so...
yeah, I think that the more and more I evolve into technology, I realize technology really can solve a lot of problems. So technology is, but you have to avoid to be just a problem solver. You have to avoid that. And therefore, I think the challenge is actually to come up with the right question for the technology to solve. And that question should be asked by really sort of in a context that we rethink humanity. So it really should be a human question. More and more, we need to think about what that question is, whether that question is good or bad.
That was our discussion taking place here at Dalian 2017 Summer Davos, whether technology is for good. You're watching World Insight with Tian Wei. Coming up on our program, we're going to meet with Dr. Yaqin Zhang, the president of Baidu, one of the leading high-tech firms in the world, and let him explain about the technology of artificial intelligence and how we, human beings, are going to interact with it. You're still watching World Insight with Tian Wei, coming to you from the 2017 Summer Davos in Dalian. Artificial intelligence has been winning some attention for quite some time, but exactly how is that technology going to interact with the human society? What is impact on education, business, and even governance? Answer those questions. We have invited Dr. Yaqin Zhang, who is the president of Baidu, one of the leading high-tech firms here in China. But before we go to a discussion with him, take a look at this.
In the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence proved key to unlocking the secrets of automation and robotic interaction. China, teeming with a huge population, has had remarkable success in the development of AI that led to the emergence of homegrown tech giants. Baidu is one of them. The Chinese government appointed Baidu to lead the country's new National Engineering Lab of Deep Learning Technology and Application. They are also trying to integrate their huge data server, Baidu Cloud, with AI technologies, so they can be more easily applied in areas like logistics, medicine, education, and finance. Dr. Yaqin Zhang currently serves as president of Baidu and is in charge of their technology, emerging business, and global business operations. He believes that China's huge consumer market and abundant accumulation of data will push local AI companies forward.
Dr. Yaqin Zhang, president of Baidu, welcome to CGTN.
Nice to be here.
Great to have you, sir. You've been talking about artificial intelligence for quite some years. This is really coming to the golden period of time.
Absolutely, yeah.
But Yaqin, is this really the golden period or actually the Warring States period in which everyone wants to jump into this field?
Well, it's certainly a very interesting and exciting time of AI. It's like the wild west. It's a golden rush. And if you, go to Silicon Valley, you come to Beijing, essentially everywhere, people are talking about AI. So it is getting real. Having said that, we are in the very beginning of unleash the full potential of AI. There are a lot of applications already leveraging the technologies of AI. For example, voice recognition, picture recognition, and natural language, and even in autonomous driving and fintech. There's a lot of real applications.
We're going to go into some detailed discussion about all of those fields, but let me ask you about this. When it comes to Warren State's period of time, or the gold rush, the competition is extremely intense.
Yes.
But what is the nature of this competition, Yaqian? Is it about the talent, or is it about business model, or is it about something else, the technology itself? What is it?
Yeah, well, it's all of above, but fundamentally it is the talent. If you look at it, the AI is all the algorithms are developed by smart people, people who understand the mathematics, people who understand the computer science, and people who understand the particular domain of applications. So talent is the most important thing of this whole battle or competition. Talent flow, that's just normal.
Yes.
People come and go. We have people left, we also have a lot of people join us. For example, Qilu, who just joined us 6 months ago, is one of the top business leaders and the technical leaders in AI. And I'm very happy with the talent we have, and we continue to attract top talents.
Attracting and keeping the talent, what do you think is the nature of this competition? What would get them to stay, and what would get them to come over?
Yeah, well, for Baidu or for any company, right, the most critical thing is people come here, they can do interesting work, or they can change the world. And that's why they come here, and that's why they stay. And if you look at the type of work we do, it's just super exciting.
Financial field, it seems to be pretty much a battleground for a lot of the big Chinese names.
If you look at the whole financial industry, right, consumer loan and asset management, those are things that people really need on their day-to-day life. And it's important for companies like Baidu to enable that transactions in a dependable and secure and reliable manner, because we have a lot of data. We have consumer data, we understand their behavior, we can use deep learning to acquire customers, to match people with the right type of products, to match the different kind of needs.
But there is some murky water here because of the policy. I mean, when it comes to financial services, there is some very blurred lines.
Right.
So it could go this way in favor of your companies and others. It could go the other way around. So there's always a danger and uncertainty there.
Right. Well, it is, but fundamentally, the technology can help reduce risks, to fight frauds, and to make the entire consumer loan and spending a lot more transparent. If you look at the internet, it's all about transparency. And AI is to make sure we can leverage all those data and find the right type of analytics, insights, so the whole transaction will be more secure and reliable. So overall, what internet does is make sure there is a openness and transparency, but obviously with the right kind of privacy and the security and the protection. Right? And it also make sure there is a symmetry for users, different users and organizations. And a part of the financial issue, all the other applications, because sometimes one group of people, they actually have a privilege over the other groups.
That's right.
And internet and AI can help essentially to minimize those issues.
But there's also policies. I mean, will that eventually be able to transform policy into the absolute transparency?
Right. You actually, I think, make a great point in terms of the policy, internet, AI. Some of our policy and regulations are behind, and we need to innovate not only in technology but also in policy. For example, in the autonomous driving, In fact, our policy are behind where technology is moving. So I think you make a great point. There's a privacy issue, there's a security issue,
Right.
there's also a lot of data interoperability, and also the regulation regarding
Legislation as well.
AI. Right.
But when you look at the Chinese internet and tech giants like Baidu, like Tencent,
Right.
some say, well, China is the latecomer and therefore there probably is some disadvantage, even though you're all catching up and probably becoming the world's biggest. But on the other hand, you also enjoy the advantage that the policies are favoring Chinese companies when it comes to entering into the Chinese market, for example. So what do you make of this quote-unquote advantage plus disadvantage?
Yeah.
And what would it mean, the competitiveness for a tech giant like Baidu? Policies are being crafted in the current way.
Well, first of all, the competition in China's internet space is more fierce, more intense than any other place in the world. It's actually more competitive than US. If you look at, let's say, a search, you asked me a question about search. There are more search engines in China than in US. Baidu has search, Soho has search, 360 has search, Bing is here. In the PC internet era, China pretty much followed US in terms of technology and also business model. And in the mobile internet area, China actually leapfrogged US. Some of the technologies are still similar, but in terms of the product experience, China actually has taken lead. For example, all the sharing economy, the digital and the payments.
That's right.
Including some of the search experience, especially regarding the connectivity to services. So China actually, in this area, China actually has taken some lead. AI, we're getting into the AI revolution, and China, I believe, has a chance to lead not only in product but also in technology and research.
How come?
Because first of all, this is relatively new. And China has a large base,
Right.
And China has a lot of data coming collected from the mobile internet,
Absolutely.
and also the immense market opportunity, and also I want to mention the ability to embrace new technologies, especially for the traditional industry, is a key advantage. If you talk with any store owners. You talk with manufacturing companies. They actually want to use new technology. So that is amazing.
But the competition, as you said, is fearful, right?
It is.
I mean, even if when you talk about search, you see there are already more than enough search engines.
That's right.
Not to mention, Tencent also developed their own
right.
search function for
Which
their
is
WeChat.
good, which is fine. Well, and let people choose and let the market decide. The best way. Same thing in all the other areas. I think China needs to continue that path, making sure the policies, the regulation, actually have a even playing field, so all companies can prosper.
That's what you're looking for.
That's right. Yeah. For AI, it's the same thing. For AI, I believe openness is important. We haven't talked about that, but for AI, it is important to open a lot of the algorithms, source code,
Right.
and data. That's what Baidu is doing. If you look at it, we're actually going to open. We have already opened our deep learning platform called PeddlePeddle. We just opened our autonomous driving platform, Apollo. So that has the software and the hardware, and data, and cloud services. So basically, we can accelerate the innovation in this space.
Talking about governments,
Yeah.
there are also in other countries there are concerns that the Chinese companies like Baidu, like Tencent, are getting all the latest technologies from their research lab. So, for example, in the United States, some were suggesting maybe we should have a policy that would ban the Chinese companies, tech giants particularly, to cooperate with our research lab. We don't want our top advanced AI technology going all the way to China.
Right.
I just wonder, as someone who has been in the tech world for a long time, working both for Chinese and American businesses,
Right.
what do you make of this?
Yeah, and that's absolutely short-sighted. And the reason why,
But the thing is it possible?
well, it is impossible to. There's no border in technology. And if you look at the success of the United States was openness, was able to assemble the top scientists around the world in its universities and in the industry.
Including Chinese ones.
Including Chinese ones.
You were
exactly.
educated also in
I
the
was-
United
that-
States.
That's true. And I worked for Microsoft
That's
for
right.
16 years.
That's right.
And a lot of the things the U.S. built today are based on some of the contributions of immigrants, of worldwide talents. And then China needs to do the same thing. And I think China has been quite open in the last 30 years, especially last 10 years, attracting talents. We need to do more, right? Not only attracting talents,
Before we go, I do want to ask you,
right?
you seem to enjoy yourself.
Absolutely,
Yaqin.
yes. Yeah, I love my job.
Every time when I saw you, whether it is at World Economic Forum, winter or summer,
Yeah.
or even at time when your work as the head of an organization has been meeting certain tremendous challenges.
Yes.
I just wonder, how do you, originally an engineer, transform yourself as someone who will be able to handle all of this at the same time? Just think about how fast the world is changing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we are in a very exciting time. As an engineer, as a scientist, I have
Every time you told me that.
yeah, I have the privilege
Very exciting
of
time.
doing different things. Right? In fact, I see probably more things than most people because I work as a lab. For example, some of the things we see today actually exist in lab probably 15, 20 years ago.
That's right.
So I get to work with a lot of smart people, work on things that sometimes may change the world. So I'm always excited just to see those things being invented and being applied. The other thing is, as an engineer, scientist, my job is to discover problems and solve them.
So you enjoy the
That's right.
process.
So whether it's a technical issue, or it's a people issue, it's an organizational issue, or business issue, it's the same thing.
Is people issue more difficult?
It is more difficult, but if you treat it as an engineering problem, then you will say, well,
Can
there's
you do
a
that
logic.
as an
Yes, of
engineering
course.
problem?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Everything is engineering issue, and everything is about algorithm. You just need to find a way to fix it.
I'm glad you have always found a way to fix that.
I hope so.
Yaqin Zhang, President of Baidu, what a pleasure to have you. Thank you so
Nice to
much
be
for being
here.
with us.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Yaqin Zhang, President of Baidu China, talking about the importance of artificial intelligence. With that, we're coming to the end of this special program coming to you from Dalian. On behalf of the whole team of World Insight with Tian Wei, bidding you goodbye from the 2017 Summer Doubles. Bye for now.